Hi, Dad.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, what you got for me today?
I just got really excited because the testing that I did showed the results that I was looking for.
Well, that's always good.
Yeah. One of the big challenges with live sound, one of the big problems is you set up and I'm going to fix this camera because it's a little off there. One of these challenges with live sound is you go in and EQ a sound system, you pink noise, and you get it all flat, and you do that every day, yet when the band plays, then you play music, you check voice, you always end up re-EQing, or you have to make changes. It never quite does. Pink noise gives you this response, but it's never quite right. You're just messing with it.
For testing. For testing the system.
Yeah, for dialing it in, right? So you come in, you pink noise it all, and you want to make it flat. And when the band plays, if you don't do something else, if you don't listen to a bunch of CDs
Got it.
or you put your voice in, it never is quite what it seems. Or gear, you get gear and all the gear says 20 to 20K plus or minus 0.5 dB or whatever with this distortion. And yet it sounds different. This one sounds better than that. This mixing board sounds better, yet the specs are all very similar.
Yeah.
So how cool would it be to find a way to actually clearly see the difference between units and not have it be voodoo? Because there's kind of like this voodoo side.
Like I feel like it's different.
Yeah,
This one
how
is
do we
different.
measure it?
Yeah.
Well, what if we could see that clearly? So
And is that what you got for me today?
that's what I got you for today. That's what I got for you today. So what I got is a bunch of in-ears set up. This is a Shure P9HW, which is a hardwire belt pack.
Okay.
And this is a Shure PSM1000, a P10R, which is a PSM1000 belt pack. And this is a Sennheiser EW300 series belt pack. And so this is hardwire, wireless. These are kind of the mainstay, really popular in-ear packs that people would use for in-ear monitoring. And then what I've done is I've got a bunch of different sources. So let's go ahead. Oh, this is all part of this video series that I'm doing on the paid side of the YouTube. I'm like 7 or 8 videos in, and I'm getting to the point where I'm testing the actual packs.
For in-ears.
For in-ears. So I tested it with pink noise, and I tested it with Smaart, and they all showed up similar. There was slight differentials. But I also knew, based on my experience of mixing monitors and working with them, that the belt packs do not sound the same. This hardwire belt pack sounds significantly better than the wireless ones, and none of them sound as good as plugging into the headphone jack. Or this one at least does, and these never do. So I was trying to find a test that brought out that difference. So I'm going to go through the process real quick. So I start with a tone, put a 1K tone in. And so what I've got is I've got a 1K tone from this little sound bullet here. And it's coming out of the generator and it's going into everything. And right now we're monitoring the hardwire pack.
Okay, and this is where we're seeing
And
it.
that's what we're seeing there. So we can go ahead and turn that up and bring this over. And we can see there's a tone.
Yeah.
And there's the volume level. You can see what it looks like. Now we'll go into the front panel because this has got a monitoring out. So it's a non-wireless version.
Looks very similar.
Yep. And we'll go into the other side of that, the
Very
wireless
similar.
transmitter. Yep. And,
Very similar.
okay. So if we were just to use a tone, all 4 things,
Everything's fine.
everything would be very, very similar, almost
Got it.
identical. So let's go to pink noise. So we want to pink noise our system and make sure everything looks the same.
Okay.
And for this, it'll show up on Smaart. So you can see that it's not there, and boom, it shows up.
And what are we looking for here?
The bottom window, that green line, is the frequency response. So basically, if it's perfectly flat, that means what's going in is exactly what's coming out.
Okay.
At all frequencies. So you can see a little bit of roll off from the low end, but for all practical purposes, very flat. And the top one's a phase response. And the phase response is going to alter a little bit with timing, but we want that to be flat too. And if I put the timing about right, it's pretty close. And the phase response is not as critical as the frequency response, but it's nice to have it smooth.
Got it.
So that's our hardwired belt pack.
Okay, and this is, we're seeing what we
Yeah,
want
and
to
you
see.
can listen to that in the headphones.
Sounds like pink noise.
Yeah. Now we'll go into the front panel.
Okay, and we
Listen
have,
to that. Should sound similar.
sounds similar. We're losing some low end, obviously.
Yeah, you can see the low ends rolling off, the high ends rolling off.
Yeah.
The high end will roll off in most in-ear transmissions, but it looks flat. It looks
Yeah,
good. Looks like a
yeah.
decent pair of headphones or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's go into, that's before it gets transmitted,
Okay.
and this is after. And what they've done is they've tried to make them the same, right?
Yeah.
This is an emulation of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
And-
it's a little boosty in the highs,
But
and I've
looks
got
good.
everything set the same, so it's almost the same.
Still pretty flat though.
Okay. And we'll go to the Sennheiser.
And we don't lose any low end here.
No, the Sennheiser, they're not rolling off the low end like the Shure units are, but or this unit. So all three look different, but they all have a majority of the
And
frequency
they
response.
sound the same pretty much
The-
for all intents and purposes.
Right. So if that's as far as we went, we could say, okay, all these things are almost the same, and one's got a little more high frequency roll off, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But look what happens if I change the test signal to a pulse. So now Smaart will deal with the pulse. Now the way Smaart works is it takes two inputs. One input is
I
from
see.
the output of all the stuff we're doing, which is hooked up to this mini plug, and the other is direct from the source, and it compares the two and looks at the differences
Got it.
between them.
That makes sense. I was wondering how it was like, how it knew
How does it
which
know?
one, but that makes sense. We're sending
Okay.
two different signals.
So now if we go into the hardwire
He's
belt pack.
bouncy.
Now it takes a little while for it to lock in
Yeah.
because there's less information. It's going pop, 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 pop. And it should lock in. I could get it here. Oops, don't want that. Oh, there it comes.
He's a lagger.
Yep. There it is. Okay, so again, it looks very similar
Yeah.
to what we saw
It's looking
before. And we'll go to the front panel of the monitoring out, which is what the engineer would be referencing if they
Yeah.
weren't wearing a separate pack. And
He's slow.
yeah, and it's good. We're gonna have to increase the time a little bit. And we're just adjusting the latency. Okay,
This
so
is great. This is great media right here.
Mhm.
Watch us click a button a few times.
it's fine. So looks good, right?
Yeah, it's looking great.
So everything's following in line exactly as we expect it to do. The pink noise and the pulse look the same so far.
And this is a video about how everything works properly and as you expect it to, right?
Exactly.
Wait a minute.
Now look at this. Now remember with pink noise, that was flat. Now you can click that plus button on the time there.
Plus button on the time.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah. Oh, stop. Yeah, that's probably good enough. It's not going to get any better than that. So,
Okay.
That
doesn't look flat.
yeah. So with pink noise, it was the same.
Yeah.
But with a pulse, it's not because the pink noise does not reveal issues.
Okay.
It reveals some of the issues, but there's hidden issues that are found other ways. So by using a pulse, we're able to see more information. We see that they are
Different
not as similar
yeah.
as they
Yeah.
appeared to be. Let's see what the Sennheiser looks like.
He also loses a lot of the high end.
Yeah, so listen, give them a listen. That's the Sennheiser.
Okay.
That's the Shure.
Okay.
And there's the Hardwire.
Doesn't sound anything like the Hardwire.
And then here's the front panel.
Hardwire and the front panel sound the same.
Now, the front panel of the Shure, so if you have one of these Shure units and you monitor from the front panel, you'd hear
You're
this.
like, everything's fine.
And then
Sounds
the
great.
musician's actually hearing this.
Sounds bad.
But so what monitor engineers do is they wear a belt pack.
yeah, yeah.
And even though Shure put it on there,
That's
and they
not
tried
what
to
you wanna
emulate it,
monitor
it doesn't
from.
work. So what relevance does a pulse have? Kick drum, snare
Yeah.
drum, toms, picking of guitar, like all of that is going to be vastly changed. So what's happening with this unit is what's going in and what's coming out with dynamics is the same. What's happening with these is smooth tones are coming out at this level and dynamic tones are coming out at a different level, and they're unrelated.
Yeah. Just because it can handle all of the frequencies and has a decent response doesn't mean that its response time across the board is the same.
Exactly. Just because, I mean, the closest I can come up with, well, one way to look at it is this is able to travel any speed between 0 and 60 miles an hour. You can go 1, 2, 10, 50, 25. You can travel any speed between 0 and 60. They all will.
Yeah.
But this one will go 0 to 60 in 1 second.
Yeah.
This one doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It goes 0 to 30 in a bit of time, and then it slows down as it gets to the higher number. So it's got a degraded acceleration method. You know, it's inconsistent.
Yeah, it's my Mini Cooper, not your Tesla.
And then the same way with slamming on the brakes. When you slam on the brakes, this one comes to a stop. This one starts to slow down or doesn't slow down. So there's its ability to transition very quickly.
Response time,
transient response.
Yeah. That's a bummer. That's a big deal.
It is. You know, wireless brings its issues. These are great units. They're great manufactured. We use Rattle and a whole bunch of these. They're popular.
Yeah.
But knowing how to test and compare so that, and you know, so you don't
can deal with the information because
then you can make your choices and know not to use the front panel jack, or know that there's more to it. Yeah. And it's not just voodoo that they sound different. It's not just an illusion.
Because you're like, literally, it doesn't sound different. It can respond to all of the pink noises. Like, what do you mean it sounds different?
And you can apply this test to anything. We can put the pulse test through all kinds of gear. Now, it does get screwed up with, with latency, and there are other challenges. It's not a be-all, end-all of testing, but it definitely highlights... a very a normal thing that these belt packs have to deal with generally. Cool.
Well, wow. Fun. Interesting.
And monitor engineers out there, this is what you've been hearing. This is why these things sound funny or not quite right. Yet pink noise and frequency response and tonality is all there. When you play the CD, it sounds right. And as soon as you put these really dynamic live music instruments that have sharp peaks to them, everything changes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's crazy.
All right, let's wrap. Let's do another video after this.
What video?
We'll blow stuff up, make fire.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. It's a please don't do this at home video that we're going to do at home.
And I'm going to go make myself a drink.
All right, I'll get ready.